get music that's not going to get tagged on Facebook. So I just started
Right.
music from Facebook that they use for their music library.
That's
So I
fine. I was
load,
going to play the new Flat Earth Man video or whatever too, but I can't get it to play now. I'm taxing my system too much.
ooh, tax the system, tax the
Have
system.
am I still sharing screens? It's acting like I am.
I'd say somebody is. Yes.
It's me.
Is
I'm
it?
I'm about to. I've set up the
Yeah, I love this.
flat Earth montage.
Well, it's just my screen is still outlined in red like I'm sharing, so I might be crashing any moment now. I'll shut up.
All right. So you are presenting Adam whenever you're ready, sir.
Here we go.
Oh, wait, pause it.
I know Kung Fu.
Get music that's not going to get tagged on Facebook. So I just started
Right.
music from Facebook that they use for their music library.
That's
So
fine. I was
load,
going to play the new Flat Earth Man video or whatever too, but I can't get it to play now. I'm taxing my system too much.
ooh, tax the system, tax the
Have
system.
am I still sharing screens? It's acting like I am.
I'd say somebody is. Yes.
It's me.
Is
I'm
it?
I'm about to. I've set up the
Yeah, I love this.
flat Earth montage.
Well, it's just my screen is still outlined in red like I'm sharing, so I might be crashing any moment now. I'll shut up.
All right. So you are presenting Adam whenever you're ready, sir.
Here we go.
Oh, wait, pause it.
I know Kung Fu.
Show me. Is that these rules are no different than the rules of a computer system. Others can be broken. Understand? If you can. Good. Adaptation, improvisation. But your weakness is not your technique.
Morpheus is fighting Neo.
They are, because I had never seen that launching of the balloon footage that he had there in the video. That was some good stuff. I had seen the crashed footage from Brazil, but I'd never seen the launch footage.
Yeah, there's quite a few. One crashed in Australia on launch. A multi-million-pound one. There's video of that somewhere, of it piling into
See,
the
now I
ground.
can't get my system to share anymore, so I'm probably having to. I'm gonna probably have to reset to get things acting right again. I've done way too many tricks.
Did you want to play the... I can play the song if you want.
Yeah, that's cool. You can. I was trying to just see if I could get it up here, but I'm still, apparently me doing all this sharing has caused me some problems. So go ahead, sir.
Okay. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Absolutely. And he says every time it's, free to share and
Oh yeah.
all that. So we won't have a problem playing it. We shouldn't. Well, everybody in chat, I just finally made it over there and said hello. So don't feel neglected if I didn't say hey to you guys earlier. I've just been trying to multitask a little more than usual.
I neglect them every week, I'm afraid.
Well, I usually try to get in there and say hey to everybody, and when I do that, I'm start neglecting you guys a bit. So
It's just like a toilet
It's
roll,
sort of-
isn't it? You just type
Right.
something and it's
It just
gone.
keeps
It's
going.
pring.
It's going.
It's
Yeah.
like-
We used to have
Can't
some
keep
nice
up
little
with
slow
this.
chat. You could read and take it all in a little at a time. But as we get more people in there, it kind of gets to flying by. And it does say, it's still in slow mode. So
I think slow mode only limits the amount of posts one person can do within a set amount of time. I don't think it limits the amount of
it
posts
doesn't.
that can go up. It's just
the speed of the scrolling. See, there you go.
right. So dummies aren't gonna go through and just flood the chat with a bunch of spam. It limits the time they have to wait between posts.
Do you want the sound as well? I imagine you do with the song.
Nah.
Yeah, it's just
Hum a
everybody-
few first. We'll get it.
right. Just make it
Okay.
up as you go, like the kids.
Tell me if you're hearing it.
Negative ghost.
Hearing that?
Yes. Yes.
Loud enough?
Yes.
Seeing it?
Well, I know it's a really hard pill to take when somebody says that satellites could be fake, huh? But don't you find it a little suspicious that you can't find any real satellite pictures? It might be hard to be believed, but maybe we're all being deceived. Yeah, maybe, huh? Listen up. Well, if you think you see one up in the sky, you can't see it with the naked eye, because a satellite is about the size of a car, at least 300 miles away. You can't see that far, whatever those dots are to move in the night. I'm telling you, there ain't no satellite. Welcome to the satellite hoax. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You get 5E, a picture of a satellite, but now bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space, type that phrase into Google, folks. Let me welcome you to the satellite hoax. Now before all of y'all start getting pissed, I ain't saying that satellites don't exist. I'm saying that it's theoretically absurd to think these devices orbit the Earth, 'cause I've seen them hanging from big balloons. Even Google's doing it too now, man. Have you seen that? Yeah, go check out Project Moon. And every now and then a satellite crashes, but that information never gets to the masses, 'cause then you'll find out how these things really work. They're just on balloons, man. They don't orbit the Earth. 'Cause once upon a time, one crashed in Brazil with the balloon attached to its steel. Welcome to the satellite hoax. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You get 5E, a picture of a satellite, without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space, type that phrase into Google, folks. Let me welcome you to the satellite hoax. Yeah, check it out, man. How can satellites be in the thermosphere when the temperature up there is way too severe? How can that type of equipment survive? How comes those satellites aren't burned alive? I'm telling you, man, it's just a pack of lies. There ain't no orbiting satellites because 99% of our communication comes from undersea cables and cell tower stations. A GPS is ground-based too, man. Go check out a system called LORAN. It's a military system for navigation that uses ground towers to track your location. Are you seeing it yet? Welcome to the satellite hoax. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You get 5E a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space. Yeah, type that phrase into Google, folks. Let me welcome you to the satellite hoax. You see, Tesla figured out how to communicate without the need for satellites in space. It's mostly ground-based towers, you see, and that's how you get your satellite TV. They've monetized what Tesla made for free with their fake satellite industry. It was Arthur C. Clarke that theorized these things, the sci-fi boxes with solar wings. Another Freemason, it's no surprise. They make science fiction and they monetize. They've stolen Tesla's technology and they get you to pay for your TV. Are you seeing it now, people? Welcome to the satellite hoax. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You give 5E a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space. Yeah, go type it into Google right now. And let me welcome you to the satellite hoax. So next time you see a photo of the Earth from space, look for satellites. You won't find a trace. Well, they must have disappeared, I guess. Can't even see any from the ISS. If you want to have yourself a little enjoyment, go watch a NASA satellite deployment. Oh, man. Well, let me welcome you to the satellite hoax.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Sounds like a core blend sound. It's a great one.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to Walt's first Flat Earth tune. How's it going? Guitar work?
Well, I'm gonna have to collaborate. It looks like I can write some tunes. I'm just not a lyricist. It's just not my forte. So, but I've met one recently on Twitter who can. She writes some amazing lyrics or poetry anyway. So I'm gonna talk to her about some Flat Earth songs. In fact, I just sent her a copy of quite a few different books actually. The World Beyond Poles and some Atlantean Conspiracy and some what was the other one I said? I'll have to go back and look at the list now. So
You can keep the topics wide, Walt, but keep it to 3 chords.
exactly. Well, there's the 4 chords that rule the world. I mean, there's only those are the 4 I'll stay within for sure. I won't use the devil's tritone.
Thank you, Stanley.
So, Adam, I think you mentioned it in chat earlier, but I did just now go back and double check. We are sitting at 1,001 subscribers.
Nice.
Oh,
Wow. I've never seen this footage of this crash you were showing right now. That's insane.
Collect a quarter for every show now.
Hey.
I just wonder what they told the guys, the satellite engineers that built this thing, as it
Oh my
piles through cars.
God. Look at this. That's madness.
Let's have a look at this. And
Yeah,
they
I
call it
did.
a NASA science balloon. Oh, there goes your 2 million. Oh, there goes your car. Oh, look at all those GoPros hanging off that. Oh dear.
That's great. I love it. I love it.
Sorry, carry on. I just
What,
thought,
Josh, you know last week how you was on about that picture I posted, that little gif where the ball was running around a balloon.
Yes.
The reason I started hunting for that was on this purpose of satellites and balloons and stuff, and I was actually typing in balloons and static sticking because I just wonder if we talk about an electric universe and we look at balloons as we use them in our home and rub them on our head and you get a static charge on them. I just wondered as we go up through the atmosphere plane whether that associated charge is usable for holding the balloons up there, not now. That was
So
actually
just basically rubbing them on the sky's head and sticking them to the top of the dome, essentially.
I have
Might,
stupid
yeah.
ideas sometimes, but
No,
yours-
that's not stupid at all. I've been thinking there possibly is a way that once these balloons get up there, they not only keep that, like, I mean, we know classically if you just release a latex helium balloon up, it either explodes or loses the helium and comes back down. But maybe there's some way that it charged itself and kept it up there. I was thinking with the the gas inside the balloon, but maybe it literally is sticking to the surface of the dome or the firmament or whatever. If you buy that anyway.
I'm not necessarily suggesting sticking because if we translate the image a little bit, what I'm probably more suggesting is holding it, I suppose from a heliocentric point of view, holding it in a geocentric orbit so it stays in one place. That's kind of the effect that it holds.
Right, like a field, it would stay within a field, an area, right.
But anyway, just a side thought from seeing those silly balloon on. Whilst I'm on more serious stuff, can I just get this my Isle of Man, my weekly Isle of Man bit out of the way?
Absolutely. I think we've lost Nate in chat, but I suspect that they'll listen. I'm curious. I've kind of been out of the loop. I haven't been watching any of his live streams, so I'm kind of curious for the update.
Yeah, me too. I just saw the video he sent, but it was. Go ahead. What you got?
It's been a funny week. I've started listening to some of the Ball Earthers stuff and the likes in a bit more detail as the Rumpus did a presentation. And there appears to be confusion in it. But before I get on to that, because I think there's been a few admissions this week, there was a lot of debate this week, which to me again reflects the level of mentality that's going off in there as we debated whether or not Riley can use a tape measure or not, basically. And there was a lot of silly wasted of time. But basically, the guys, there's been so much debate about whether Google Earth is accurate, whether it isn't. People, I think GeoStreamer from Germany was coming in, demonstrating that a forest in Germany, which shows an altitude difference, which does get close to the 30 meters that Google states, even though it was only 20, therefore proves that any height in St. Bees is incorrect, which is strange logic, but kind of demonstrates the point. And the minutiae that they're still prepared to argue in, which I don't think is very scientific in its approach. It does seem disruptive in its approach. There was a lot of disruption this week. There is one bit of quality disruption, and that's somebody started doing an impression of Alan Bennett. John might be able to help me describe Alan Bennett a bit better for you guys that don't. But is he a northern poet, basically, isn't he, John? Is that right?
I've never heard of him, mate.
I'll leave people to look it up. I won't go into it. But for some reason, a baller that's coming in is doing a strange impression of a northern a northern man called Alan Bennett. I won't carry on, but again, a good example of actually how the debate is trying to be derailed, even in a comedic way, which is quite entertaining at the time. But anyway, so within that, basically, with this week is my notes basically from listening to Nathan and the guys discuss stuff or not discuss stuff. What they're discussing is that basically it doesn't sound like, or there's this conjecture over the fact whether or not the extremities of that image, both north and south, are Ireland. And it would seem to me that there's some debate in that. Now, as I said, I kind of got off a chat with Nathan tonight and Chris Monk, and kind of have a good understanding of what's going off. And I don't want to do a spoiler because it's Nathan's channel to release. But there's a couple of bits I'd like to say. I don't think we're far wrong there in the assumptions that I drew this week. But firstly, I'd say that don't mean anything. It still shows the Isle of Man, which is therefore a globe proof. Okay, and that's the most fundamental thing, and probably what the ballers, as we say, will try to distract you from. It's not Ireland, etc., etc. Therefore, it has to be a baller game, which is a common tactic we see. But the reality is these images still are a debunk of the ball. What I would say is, to finish really, is that from the conversations I've had, that this new evidence that's come to light, the guys have applied in a properly scientific way. You know, so to as we stand to now, to kind of defend their position, not maybe necessarily apologetics, but I do understand all the information they had and the best modelling that they had achieved to date with the input of the ballers. The obvious conclusion, or the best conclusion, or most verified by observable and observable points, was that actually that probably was Ireland. Now, there appears to have been some new data come to light that I think helps realign the map. And as Nathan said, it's kind of very significant. To the point that probably I'll leave it at the description, that we've gone from debunking a globe Earth to hopefully what you'll see in the next week is information provided which will actually give a proper flat Earth proof, proper modelling, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, I can't wait. I definitely was luckily enough, after they had been on the show a few weeks back on TFR, I was hanging out with them a few mornings as we got off on some calls and had a chance to pop over to some of the debates. But this last few weeks, I just haven't had time to pop in. So it's good to know that there's been a lot going off I've missed, apparently. My goodness.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant, Adam, and anyone involved. I think this is science. This is how it works. You know, get your evidence and you analyze it, and you try and do the best you can and be as honest as you can. And you know, if it's Ireland, brilliant. If it's the Isle of Man, brilliant. It's still, either way, it's not feasible on the ball the size that they tell us it is. So great. I think it's only a matter of time before England is visible from Ireland and vice versa, because not many people have been looking, and even if they do, it's just a known thing to them. I've heard numerous people saying, you know, in over in Ireland and British Bay and around those sort of areas, saying, "Yep, no problem. We've seen you know, the Isle of Man. We've seen England, Wales, or whatever from Ireland." Now we have P900s, and now we have a reason to stick it on a tripod and get some decent footage of it and put it up on YouTube. I think it's just a matter of time.
And like I said, I will say that having listened to the Nathan shows, and there's been many of them, and the level of abuse, not only the, like I said, distraction stuff from the actual debate that progresses the scientific argument, which to Nathan's credit, he does at least, certainly started to keep it a bit more focused. Kind of outside of that, I think there's a level that they're going to take one hell of a lot of abuse for admitting that they're wrong. And I think it takes a big man to say you're wrong, yeah? But that's on a personal level. But every scientist is happy to be wrong. Every experiment goes in with, this is the data I have, and these are the best conclusions I can draw from the data set that I have. And for me, whilst it's going to be funny listening to, you know, like I say, a ridiculous amount of abuse and them having their day, and let them have it on the simple fact that that one small observation is incorrect. It's kind of, as you said, John, negates the point. But I think from a scientific point of view, a whole new data set's been introduced. There's a whole new way of viewing the data, and what you're now seeing is another scientific application of this new data and a reanalysis in the same analytical way that the guys have done before. And whatever criticism is made of the previous conclusions, actually, I don't think there's much scientific criticism. Obviously, there's going to be the ad hominem nonsense, but for me, fair play, guys, and anybody that's got the nuts after what they've been through to stand up and say, actually, maybe I'll reconsider my position based on evidence. Doesn't say they're a liar, it says they're a scientist.
I don't think any scientist wants to be proved wrong or shown how they're wrong, but I think it takes intellectual honesty to admit when, you know, something you said may have been wrong, and it's intellectual honesty we're not really seeing from the Ball Earth camp. You know, we're not seeing any sort of retraction videos or anything on the nonsense they've been coming out with too. So
I think even getting to this point in researching Flat Earth, you've had to let go of some of your ego. You've had to let go of some of your pride, a lot of your ego and pride, to be able to go, oh, hell, I've been wrong and lied to a long time now. Let me just dispense with this crap and start working it out, you know? So,
you've almost got to go through an ego death, haven't you?
Exactly.
To even look at Flat Earth stuff.
Yep. Or like Rob did, was like awake slowly over like government, you know, conspiracies or little things that you've observed. But you need a leap of faith. No matter which position you take, there's a leap of faith.
No, I'd rule faith, trust, belief out of all of this. That was the whole point. I was sick of faith. I was sick of belief in agencies and authorities. I want to know it for myself.
You take a leap of faith maybe for your family or for your friends.
Well, killing your ego, I suppose, is a huge leap of faith, isn't it? Because you don't know what's going to come out the other side. But yeah,
used to the way your ego was, and you've been operating that way. So either way, you've got to make a decision and change something, or change your beliefs, or get uncomfortable for a minute
or just dispense with beliefs and start working on asceticism, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where I sort of came out the other side. Is I was just sick of trusting anyone. Where's it got us now?
I know, and there's such an abuse of people in authority and people that have been the people that we have just blindly trusted. We trusted a lot of people. We trusted doctors. We trusted companies that sold us products. We trusted bankers. We trusted banks. We trusted governments, support workers, teachers, scientists, pharmacists, no pun intended, no harm meant, Adam. We've trusted a lot of people in these places, and they've proven over and over and over to be untrustworthy.
Well, maybe we should get the guys from the team there, Nate and the guys, on again in the next couple of weeks and give them a chance to talk about all this with us again. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. We need to get him on here, get an update in, straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Who's that?
Nathan and Ryan.
Oh,
and,
yeah, right. I missed
Chris,
that bit. Sorry.
That team, yeah. I'm just saying to get them to actually, whatever this. I mean, I'm still trying to work around the edges of what's actually being said here, but whatever this is, I can't wait to see it.
Well, I think all I would add then, guys, is probably next Friday's show is probably hopefully going to be good timing for them to let the dust settle from what they say, and then maybe come on and give a clear presentation. And as we said, we wanted to get Chris Monk on, and I think Chris's work is key to all of what they're talking about. We've got a very, very qualified man on board that knows what he's doing in all of this because he's a surveyor. Do you know what I mean? So I think next week will be a great. I would hope they'd take us up on that.
So from their observation point, Adam, what was the distance to the Isle of Man? Do you know?
It's 31 miles at one point. So but right
How
around
many?
the 30.
30 miles.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah.
Right. So the drop off, the drop should have been around 600 feet then.
Yeah.
Okay. So that should be pretty easy to clear up with any structures that are on the shoreline of the Isle of Man at 30 miles. I thought it was nearer 60 miles. Let me have a look.
42.
I think it was 40 to Ireland. It was more like 14 or 13 or something like that to Isle of Man, but I may be completely off.
I think it was 140 to Ireland.
Yeah, 140 to Ireland. Yeah, you're
On the line of sight, I was suggesting it's about 140, 150 miles, but I'm sure it's
let's
30 miles Isle of Man.
Let's stop guessing and have a look. I'll bring up the screen. Tell me if you can see maps when it finally catches up. There we go. Anyone see map?
Saw the town of the pensioners, Worthing. That's disappeared.
Can you see a map or not?
Yes.
Right, thanks.
mean to leave you hanging there.
So do you know where they were?
Yeah, north.
They were near.
Keep going north.
Are you
Lake
watching
District.
on Skype or on the YouTube? Because that's got a big lag behind it.
Probably somewhere never with that L or somewhere, John. I don't know exactly. Somewhere around there somewhere.
L?
The L of the Lake District.
Okay.
Yeah, what did I say?
Oh,
I said
gotcha.
40 miles. I'm in 100. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm playing catch up here too.
Well,
We've
let's
got
say
phone calls coming in and everything else.
let's say it's
Oh,
from
that's
here
not
to
nice.
here.
Mm.
That's 33 miles. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
It's about 30 to 35, depending on where they were measuring to on the Isle of Man. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
So,
right.
Or from. I don't know where they were from either at the moment.
St. Bees.
St. Bees.
Do you know how to spell
What do
that?
they make? B-E-E.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
I like honey. That's why I remembered it.
Donor House Farm. That's mine.
So, John, where your mouse is now,
That's funny.
Yeah.
it's pretty much where Anthony was, I think.
Yeah, that's St. Bees.
Yeah, the coast head, the coastline, the head of it was in front of him there. So yeah, pretty much there, I think, is what you.
So, yeah, we're looking at 30 or 40 miles or so
Yeah.
to Ramsey. 30 miles, but piece of pants.
It's kind of ticky, this thing.
70 73.
118 is what?
This is
Don't
the
you
bit.
have a picture, John, of the Isle of Man as well
120.
on one of your cameras somewhere that we're going to look at one of these days?
No, what I've got is down here. I've got from.
Oh yeah, the cliffs.
I've got from Seaton in Devon, which is. Where are you? Sidmouth, Lyme Regis. Seaton, where are you?
There it is.
There we go.
Yep.
Alright, so I've got from here. Cancel. I've got pictures and video from here to the Isle of Portland, which is here at 30 miles, and you can see almost all of it, obviously minus the mirror band, which we know about now, which used to be claimed as what we're seeing disappearing over the horizon. We now know there is a almost consistent mirror band on the horizon. So and this is at sea level to sea level, so but I have to do some work on this. I still have to analyze the footage and that sort of thing, but it's roughly the same. I mean, from
exactly,
it's 30 miles basically, and the drop should be 600 foot. Now the Isle of Portland is no higher than 600 foot, so I shouldn't be able to see any of that from Seaton, and I'm reliably informed by the ice cream salesman on the beach of Seaton that you can actually see the lighthouse on the end of Portland, which is not very high off the sea at all, called Portland Bill, at night, nearly every night. So
wow,
yeah, anyone around that area?
Point.
Where are you near, Adam? Are you near the coast at all?
I'm in the middle, mate. Nottingham, smack in the middle.
You'd need to do mountaintop to mountaintop or something, wouldn't you? But anyone around the coast of England, can you see Amsterdam from Ipswich, from East Anglia, not Ipswich, but East Anglia?
This is, like I say, there's been a lot of debate, and one of the things that, if you listen to the debate, is, and particularly what's come out of Chris Monk's modelling work of a ball and that, and I actually got quite a nice compliment tonight, who was talking about the presentation I was doing, and I think we've not done it on here, but I mentioned it on Nathan's channel, and it's stuff that Rob first alluded to in terms of observer height, and how the mathematics of the reality of what the observer's doing means that all you do is add the height of the observer on top of the standard ball drop to get the overall drop. And this nonsense about tipping the observer's perspective further and further down the further and further away you're looking, which is what the metaball calculations, even though it's had changes, is still asking you to do. One of the good things is that is the total debunking of that nonsense as well, and the building in with that in terms of how surveyors work. And Chris Monk said, he'd sack anybody if they were affecting their theodolite by 8 inches when they were trying to measure stuff over a mile. They were tipping it down. So
I've always thought that about the elevation, that it just should be added. This whole sort of force multiplier about, you're 1 foot off the ground, so that means you can see 100 foot further, or you're 2 foot off the ground, you can see 300 foot further. None of that really made sense to me, but I may be proved wrong. I don't know. But
John, when I went to do the ball modelling, none of it did. And when you look at what the explanations out there are, and when you look at the horizon stuff and all that, none of it does, because it's all out there to collude you into thinking that what you're seeing in terms of perspective is curvature. That's and that's what these fake math models that Metabunk put out try to convince you that the reality of what you're seeing is this. You know, they're very clever because they do use perspective of curvature, but like I say, coming out of these debates and
but we know this too, Adam. Is that
Yeah.
you know they've had 500 years to tweak the textbooks, every single edition by one digit at a time or one letter at a time. You know, for example, when Neo Flat Earth came out 3 years ago, you'd look up curvature of the Earth formula, and Google would say 8 inches per mile. You'd have to read right down to the end of it to even get anywhere close to 8 inches per mile squared for 2 miles. You know, they would only give you 1 mile as a measurement, and that lasted for about a year. Now, if you look it up, it says 8 inches per mile squared. So, you know, all they had to do was take out a tiny little 2 in the corner, a squared, and it's twisted it, or twisted your interpretation of it into, oh, it's 8 inches per mile. So how many other little tweaks have they done throughout the centuries to put us into that frame of mind that it is curvature, it's drop, it's gravity, it's this, that, and the
It's
other?
like the sun distance. How many times that has been shifted out and further and further and further. Every time the math doesn't jibe, they shift the distance out another few million miles till we now are the 93 million mile mark.
Well, they changed the size of the sun last year, didn't they?
Can I draw a differential there? There's a difference there. What you're doing there with the sun distances is changing the angles, but you're not really changing the geometry of what's happening. You're taking the sun further away and you're making it
right. Yeah, in the actual math of it, right. I'm just saying in a general sense of using the figures and hiding these things in the math from us.
Yeah, no. So the differential there is what I'm drawing in terms of these metabunk calculations is that the metabunk calculations that they're showing are a falsehood of what they're purporting to represent. Okay, so the sun model is fine. If it was that far away, it's correct. If it's nearer, it's smaller, etc. Yeah, they're kind of fine because they're not misrepresenting. They're guessing the distance of the size, but it's there. With the metabunk calculations, what they're actually doing is instead of what you do when you look out to the horizon looking forwards, they're saying you look down. And that's a complete misrepresentation of what occurs. And that's exemplified by the fact that what they say is the further the horizon is away that you can view, i.e. the higher up you are, because that's the easiest way to get atmospherics, you know, if you just go up higher, the more you end up looking down. And rather than me go on, Nick from Phuket Word has again done a video this week, and he puts it a lot more eloquent than I ever could, and goes into great detail demonstrating how observer position, angle of thingy actually affects the horizon level. I think that's probably worth, if we can put that in the links afterwards, Josh, and that's or in the chat. That's a really good video this week. Again by Nick.
What's it called? Never a curve on flat Earth. That's 24 minutes.
It's this week's one. It's basically again. This perspective is the imaginary curve.
Yeah.
But it's really, really good perspective and explaining what you're seeing, and in all of it, you know, none of these images are explainable on a ball. And if you get rid of that and just focus that you're on a flat plane, actually the video really does start to demonstrate how perspective does work and how it can be altered. And as I showed in my Lego videos, not only was I using a funky lens, I was getting as low down as I could and tilting the camera backwards to kind of alter the artificial horizon to create these perspective illusions. But this is, like I said, a lot more eloquent. So If it's number 6 in the list I posted, if it.
Yeah.
Am I not sharing it?
I think that's.
This is. Are you seeing a video that I'm sharing or not? With a.
Yeah.
No sound though, but that's cool.
No, it's also 24 minutes long, man. So we're not going to watch it.
Yeah.
It's just running in the background. So what's it generally saying? Sorry.
Well, like I said, there's a lot of bits as he starts with here in terms of mirror banding and that, but the bit for me that I thought was quite good, because there's a lot of repetition of stuff we've probably covered before, but it's talking, like I said, about how you can alter. We say that horizon always meets at eye level, but what he's demonstrating here is how you can alter the position of the horizon from how it appears in the viewer's image by reorientating the camera or the observer.
Yeah, it's got a hell of a lot to do with orientation, observer height, all sorts of stuff.
It's 24 long, so the early bit like this is talking about. I mean, look at that. That's a great picture. I mean, that's not a reverse double Fathom Gora thing, is it? That's literally an example of actually where the horizon is.
It's a mirage.
Well, if you imagine that's that tarmac at the end of the bridge, it all makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, it's like me showing you the moon setting earlier.
Yeah.
And there's a clear mirror image of the moon rising, and then they merge together. I mean, that's exactly what we're looking at here. It's called the mirror band. It is a phenomena. Get over it. It's not the curvature of the Earth.
See, what I would say is from the horizon that you think you can see all the way up to the boat, is that the size of the waves that we can see in the foreground have become so small that we can no longer resolve them, and we get that mirror imaging, and then what you see there is actually just a mirroring and then a reflection of the sky in it. Yeah, but actually because the boat is still quite large, we can resolve that, and so it sits there on this sheet of mirror that goes from the boat all the way into the foreground to the point where the size of the waves become resolvable by our eyes again, and that's when we start to see the detail and not the mirror. And actually the only detail that we can see in the light is the reflection of the sky on the mirror, because the size of the clouds, the blueness, is more discernible, so our eyes pick up that, and that's the information your brain receives or the camera receives, because it's the more discernible light. That's the more differential. Does that make sense?
I'll go with you on that. Yeah. My my PC's having a flip.
Yeah, I do see that though.
All right, moving on.
Hey guys, on the plane call flat. I was just got a chance to listen in here for the last little bit on today's show. I've been really busy, but wanted to say hey, and thinking about you guys every Friday at 2:00 my time, and heard you were played that Eclipse video I threw together a couple days ago. Appreciate it. Anyway, hope you guys are doing great. Keep up the great work. Hope to be back here in the next couple of weeks, probably gonna be sometime in March, and love to chat further and hang out. So anyway, love you guys. Keep it flat, and I will chat with you guys hopefully soon. Take care.
Hey, Paul on the plane.
Nice. Very nice.
Thanks, Paul.
Can I quickly respond to that, Josh?
I doubt it. I bet your response is going to be lengthy.
Never, ever, ever. I'll be as succinct as I can. Paul, mate, we keep missing each other, and we keep trying to arrange meetings. Mate, I'm flying this week. I'm going to redo the experiment in a more lengthy way. and I'll catch up with you this time next week. But there you go, done quick.
Right on. And just a reminder that Paul and the Plane will be on this very Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific on the Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine. And I think he will probably have Ben Hameen on this week, and provided B-O-L-E, as provided the Super Bowl doesn't keep me at work too long, I should be home in time to hop on with Billy Ray and Paul and the Plane and Ben Hameen. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be exciting.
As long as they all turn up.
That's it. Sometimes Billy Ray can book a guest and the guest just never bothers to show. But we've experienced that very thing, so what can you do?
Some people need a diary, eh? With GMT in it. I'll shut up now.
Well, I think if we can get people learning to calculate GMT in their heads, that'll be the first step to getting them over to the metric system.
You see, what we've learned tonight, Josh, is forget GMT, deal with TFR transmission time, and we all understand it.
Oh God, we'll all be
We've
buggered.
created our own time zone.
We got 6 of them.
No, 10 o'clock is 4 o'clock. You see, I understand that.
So, did you say you've no idea what we're talking about? Just if you don't have an idea, then the listeners aren't going to have any idea. We're taking the piss out of Jaren again for not doing a show up on Billy Ray Valentine's show, apparently.
Well, he was invited. Again, we know Jaren's a really busy guy. It's hard to keep all this stuff sort of in line.
That's like us, man. We're busy.
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily that busy. I'm not so busy that I should be able to keep track of all the guests and emails coming and going, but I don't. I'm disorganized and lazy. So I can appreciate how sometimes maybe Jaren or somebody else just might, miss an appearance or two. I suppose that happens.
I'm entirely taking the piss here. I don't blame anyone for not showing up to anything these days anyway, especially with every freaking time zone that's going on and daylight savings and all sorts of crap. Yeah, and just not being up for it. At the end of the day, sometimes you're just not up for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I admire what you and Walt do. It's wow, commitment.
Well, it's a lot of fun.
It's fun, though. We enjoy it, man. It's really a blast. It took a few weeks to get into the stride, but it's been worth it. I mean, we've had a blast. We've had some interesting guests. We've met a lot of new friends that have made their way over here to the IRM Media channel with us. So it's been fun for sure. In fact, next week we have an interesting guest that will be hopefully showing up there for us on Friday. Chad Swans, the 33rd degree Mason, who's recently started putting out some videos about flat Earths. Well, he was a flat earther, and that's why he went to the Masons to find out if all these things we hear are true. So we will be speaking to him.
I look forward to that. Yeah, he had some really good stuff to say on Mark Sargent's show, so I'm going to have to give that a re-listen and come up with some questions that were not addressed, because I'm sure I can come up with something. But that's going to be a good show. Ideally, I've got the request out there, but again, it's one of those things where the ball is placed gently into my hands and I breathe through my mouth a few times and just drop the ball. But I did finally send an email over to Wake the Sheeple, Mike over there. We're going to try to get him on Tuesday morning next week, if I can get him to respond that early, since I did wait till last minute. And if not next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, then next, hopefully. But he said his schedule is relatively open.
Cool. I keep hearing an echo. Is it me? Have I done something here? I know I was playing with my sound earlier.
I don't hear an echo, no.
Hello? I
Hello?
guess it's just, I don't know. It seems to be gone. Sorry.
It could be B2.
And I'm sure I'm making a lot of noise when I turn my mic on. I'm over here playing with Kratom. I apologize, everybody. I just got a new shipment in, so I'm kind of stuffing capsules on the side here.
While you're blending, can I just bring the final topic in? Because I kind of want John's opinion on a few bits, and that's the laser test that hopefully is going to go ahead, and the reality of it. Are we?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I, if I play this in the background,
Can I?
Can I?
You're relaxed, eh? You've got some good wine tonight. You're feeling fine. Everything sounds good.
I've had a very little. It was an organic wine tonight, actually.
Oh yeah, what's that mean?
I don't know. The grapes were fed with manure or whatever, rather than Roundup or something.
Roundup.
Screws. Yeah, cool. So I'll just start that in the background if is that shit playing.
You talking about the FE Core update that came out this week?
Yeah.
They've done preliminary tests of 24 miles, I think, have they? And they're going for 60 odd.
Yeah. And I think when we put that into perspective, when we're just showing Isle of Man and that, it's a bloody big lake, isn't it?
It is. It's biggest in Europe, I think. I'm buying you time. Are you meant to be sharing something?
Is it not showing?
Dr. Zach, yes, I see.
Josh, is that read or not read?
It should be going out.
Yep.
No sound, but
yeah, no sound. But good video.
Got it. Mr.
So
Hummer.
that's all I wanted to show. Obviously, there's been a bit of criticism of whether it would go ahead or not, and I think there was an announcement this week that, as we suggested, it kind of didn't matter whether it was frozen solid or not. The benefit is that we've got really, really, really cold water with really cold air next to it, so the potential of the supposed diffraction should, excuse me, should be negated, whether it's solid enough for them to traverse across or not. Hopefully it is, because it allows them to do bigger distances and easier directions, I think. But don't think it's going to matter either way, because we're going to get to distances. There you go, look, 21.
Awesome.
So that's the test, isn't it? That's the kind of, and that's what they're showing here, is this pre-test setups and the likes.
Well, what I heard was a video coming out saying that this lake virtually never freezes, and it made headlines last year in the Daily Express for freezing for the first time in a decade. So they'd chosen this lake saying it was going to freeze, and in actual fact it never froze. That's what I heard from a well-known armchair warrior.
Yeah.
But I went and did some research myself on the freezing, the statistics on this lake freezing, and it turned out that it had frozen 8 times out of 10 years over the last 10 years. So I mean, anyone who takes their one singular evidence from the Daily Express, who are just global warming freaks at best, you know, and makes a whole video on it, it just beggars belief to me. And then an entire army spring up behind this guy, or this video maker, you know, claiming this is it, this is how it is. Then you go to a site that officially says, you know, that this thing, I mean, it's apparently it's only not frozen over 6 times in the last 50 years. I don't know if that's entirely true, but you know, from the stats that I looked up, it was pretty easy to find rather than going to a daily. I mean, you know the Daily Express, Adam, don't you?
Well, that was, and I'll stand to be corrected when I read it, but there appeared to be a contradiction in the Express article that was, it was a couple of weeks ago, weren't it? But they were kind of saying, oh, it's not frozen over, I think alluding in a way to global warming sort of thing. And then talking about how the locals have a fair every year on the ice. So to me, that was the thing, that it really didn't, it doesn't really matter whether it's frozen over this year. You've got the statistics, you've found them from a reputable source, shall we say, that demonstrate them at different points on the lake at different years, doesn't it? So the data's there. If you want the data of how much it freezes and by how much each year and when, you know what I mean? And for me, when we looked into it, the likelihood is it's a bloody good lake to pick, because it should be frozen this time of year.
Yeah, I can bring up those statistics if you're interested.
Yeah, well, I think they're relevant because, you know, for me, I'm happy to criticise an experiment, but they appear to be being criticised for choosing this place because it won't freeze. But if you look at the available statistics on it,
can you see those now?
We've got the video. I've got the video still, but I'm playing the vid, so let me pause that and I'll escape, John.
Okay.
Stop. Stop screen sharing. There you go. I've stopped, mate, so you should be able to.
Okay. Tell me if you see a bunch of numbers.
I just want to put a bunch of numbers.
Okay, so you got 2017, January 2nd, all the way back 16, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 7, all the way back to 1888. Yeah, Jack the Ripper. So you've got here the date it freezes up, alright, and this is the date it starts freezing in this column, this fifth column here, and the sixth column you've got the date it fully freezes up, I'm imagining. So last year it froze up fully January 2nd, year before January 5th, year before 4th of February, 20th of January, 28th of January, 19th of December, 24th of December. So this goes back to 2009. So this is our decade here, that it's frozen over. Other than these two times here, I don't know what they are. But the Daily Express, or whatever the hell it was, said, let's see if I can bring it up, it hadn't frozen for a decade, and that was the sole evidence this guy was going on. Do you remember the video I'm talking about, anyone?
I do vaguely remember the video, yes. But that's about the extent of it. Just in the vaguest sense.
Don't say that, Vegas. Cool. Hang on, like try something for the first time. You still seeing my screen or not?
Mm-hmm.
Indeed we are.
Crawling. Net neutrality, eh? So, these amazing pictures show nearly 8,000 people trekking over a solid lake which completely freezes for the first time in a decade, which, as we've just seen, is absolute horseshit. It freezes over 8 times out of 10 in the last decade. So, I mean, you've got to know what the Daily Express is all about. You see the nice little shield emblem there?
Mm.
Yes.
So if you search the Daily Express for global warming. Is that me? Oh. So you've got the polar bears struggling to find food in the Arctic. Where have we heard that before, Al Gore?
This morning. So the way they realized that the entire polar bear population is running out of food. Well, it's not necessarily that it's running out of food. They just can't seem to get the right caloric intake. They took 7 female polar bears and mounted collar cams to them, and then injected them with like what did they call them? Like biometric tracers, so they could keep track of their caloric intake versus how many calories they were burning, and then able to decide if they were indeed ingesting enough calories in relation to the amount of calories they were burning, and decided that no, they weren't taking in enough calories, therefore they are going hungry. So because of those 7 female polar bears, they've decided that the entire polar bear population is now going hungry. Which even 15 years ago, Al Gore said that we wouldn't have any more polar bears because they were all drowning in the ocean because they had no more ice. So
yeah, I mean, this is what we come to expect from the Daily Express. I mean, you put in extreme weather or whatever. Here we go. The UK snow forecast Britain set for a foot of heavy snow next week. Next week? Oh my God. February the 3rd. That's today. And today for us.
Damn time travel.
BBC warns of snow could fall. And this may be true, but if we do a search, let me. Where is it? It was 2 months of Arctic weather in the UK. Let me see if that brings it up. UK weather freeze. 60 days of freezing snow. Oh my God. Do you remember this, Adam?
Yeah.
UK weather freeze. 60 days of heavy snow at Britain to be the and they went absolutely over the top on this. That was November last year.
I'm excited, you see, because we live in the Trent Valley and we never get snow, and I can never build an igloo for my kids, and they're getting bigger. It's got to be a bloody bigger igloo now. But we never get snow, so whenever these things come, we think, yes. Brilliant.
Well, this should have just stopped. It should have been the whole of December, the whole of January. Britain's about to be plunged into 2-month big freeze with heavy snow, ice, and freezing temperatures set to take hold this weekend. That was November last year. So, Daily Express. Oh, that must be the Gales. They've just started. Rob back.
It is just nonsense, fearmongering, and just as you prove, it's not even evidence reporting, as your quick bit of research proves, doesn't it? You know what I mean? From the statements they make, and as they even say that locals, come out on the ice, and if you read into it, some of the tourist stuff,
it needs to
be
mute?
Regular appearance that there is bears and fates on the ice. A bit like London used to have when the Thames, used to freeze over every year. So, which is significantly more north, as far as. That was one thing about it, John. I'm just going to start the video again. Because the other thing is this. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yep.
So they took, like we've just alluded to, they took a lot of criticism on the choice of lake and whether the validity of whether it's frozen solid even matters, actually. But what you see here is, they're not going out on with a little handheld laser like what I've got. Do you know what I mean? They've got a really big, significant mount. And part of this video kind of describes how from practical testing from this, they've had to modify the design a little bit, and how that's reduced their ability to limit the size of movement at the other end of the lake that they're going to generate. Because obviously, any
Am I the
small
only one
animal-
hearing that, or
It's
does someone
literally
need
just
to
ice.
mute?
What are you hearing?
I don't know.
Yeah, what do you hear?
It's just me then. Oh, shut up.
But basically, this bit of kit that I'm showing here, the laser light itself is going to, hopefully, from the calculations they've done, as we were talking to Jared, he was saying about the distribution of the light, and obviously, I think the light distribution they're going to be getting over this 60 kilometers is probably similar to what Jared was trying to cope with, about 5 meters.
Sorry, that was the Daily Bloody Express in the background playing sodding videos in my ear. But
so the point I'm trying to make is that, look, the piece of equipment they've got to actually calibrate this thing so that they can actually move it and see where the bloody hell it's going over such a huge distance is actually a really significant piece of engineering that they've made there. And I think in terms of flat earth effort, actually probably deserves a bit of recognition. If you see what the building, the size of it that they have built, that's been welded and specifically built for them. And I think fair play.
I was looking at that and wondering how the hell they were going to transport it. I mean, it's huge, isn't it? It's bigger than it's the size of a trailer.
And if anyone's held a P900, do you know what I mean? Trying to zoom in on the moon, that's bad enough with the shakes. So it makes sense what they're building there. It does seem a very robust piece of equipment that should do what they're achieving, especially if you look at the very fine movements that they're able to generate on it. It does look quite an accurate bit of kit that should be usable, in situ. But I think if you look at the test video, you'll see.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the experiment. I'm looking forward to the transparency of it, and I'm looking forward to being able to analyze it. I'm looking forward to ballers recreating it. I want to see Hawkins out there with his on the beach with his helicopter and boat recreating this one.
And his banana hammock.
That's a lovely bit of kit, isn't it? Look, I mean, that's all stabilizable. Whatever surface they're going to put it on, it's like a railgun, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's a solid line that they're building from. This is the collimator lens that they've got so that they can go over this kind of distance.
And it'll be a world record, won't it? It'll be a world first, actually.
I think it's both, isn't it? First and record. Obviously, record if it's first. But...
if it works.
Well, I think if you look in this video, you can see that they've demonstrated it over 21 kilometers. And for anyone that's got any doubt whether there's any curvature there, there's enough here to demonstrate that. I think what this is trying to do is put it in scientific terms that are measurable, observable, and repeatable. Do you know what I mean? And that's what they're building here with all this quality of equipment and measurements that are verifiable. So you can see here, look, from the adjustments, look, they've had to lose some of the angular movement refinement that they've got. I think there's an adjustment from some of the in-study from the test data that they've found, and they've had to adjust the equipment a little bit, and that's tweeters. I think it looks a very solid so far, ready to go experiment. It looks very fireable. It's had a good test, and like I say, John, I agree with you, mate. I look forward to the full results.
Who built that?
Mike Kavanagh.
Wow. Is he an engineer or something? Is that his work? Do you know?
I think so. I wouldn't speak any more on that, but yeah, I think so. But for me, like everyone, I've not put any money into Flat Earth Core or anything like that. But they take a lot of slagging off for asking for money, don't they?
They do. I put that out on my Twitter feed this week, and I was told, no one should make profit from this, or no truth seeker should make profit. And I was just like, I don't really care, as long as they're honest, as long as they're transparent, their experiments are open, and not pseudoscience. Then I really don't care if they become millionaires over this. I mean, who cares? I don't care if a bunch of ballers do this and do it honestly and with integrity and transparency. Makes no odds to me.
I wasn't even going to make that point. I was going to make the point, looking at the amount of expenditure it must have taken to get them to this point, I don't see how they're going to make a load of money unless there's...
Well, they've got backers. They've got backers, and as far as we know, those backers stretch at least into 50,000. As far as I know, before FE Core was even conceived, there was 50k in the budget. They were talking about 250k a year or something from backers, or I can't remember what the exact. Anyone else remember? They were talking some serious figures.
I don't remember offhand.
I think that's personal investment. I think the point I'm probably trying to make is nobody. To me, it's very different to a kind of John Brahma kind of funding situation that's being asked for. It may well, it could be a scam. Yeah, and if they got $100 or whatever it is off every person, they might well run away very well. But to me, there seems to be a lot of expenditure to get to the point of trying to generate fake revenue. Seems a lot of effort.
Well, like I say, it just doesn't matter to me where the money's coming from or whatever. If it is an honest experiment, then, and we can pick it apart, then go for it. Look forward to it. They have my backing entirely, all the way, until otherwise.
Well, there's been a lot of people out there just hacking away at them, but they're coming up with things like the lake hasn't ever frozen in 10 years, so it's a big scam because they're saying they're going to do it on a frozen lake. But we saw an article that the lake doesn't freeze. But we've just been over this. But it shows that they're just out there looking to stir up trouble. Right? If we can't produce anything original our own, then we'll just be contrary. We'll just point fingers and yell out names, accusations.
But you'll never see them making a retraction video, and you'll never see them getting off their ass and doing it themselves either.
Oh, hell no.
So it was the same crap I came up with my gyroscope and stuff. It's you can type in the comments all you want because it's just words. Until I see you getting a gyroscope and showing or proving me wrong or falsifying my experiment, then that's fine. I'm literally going to ignore you because you're irrelevant. So until someone does a better job than FE Core or can show, some sort of falsehood about it, then you're just words on a bit of paper on a screen, pointless, irrelevant.
Pointless and irrelevant. So,
Great show, guys.
yeah, you want to just go over some of these last few headlines that I've been throwing in there, just to round this show out, since we've been going for 3 hours plus.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here.
I'm gonna stop, Josh. There you go, mate. I'm upset Rob's gone because I did have one to end with, which was Conspiracy Channel, which is producing some weird stuff that he did come up with. I've seen the duck-billed platypus as a hoax, but for Rob, it was the koala is a complete hoax of an animal. So we know that he's even seen not just koalas but killer koalas. So, but I'll post him that link and then get his opinion on it.
All right. We just right. Then here for everyone to see. So this one I saw was pretty funny. It says sedate a plant and it seems to lose consciousness. Is it conscious? Which I think is an interesting question. Do plants have consciousness? Are they conscious? Plants don't get enough credit. They move. You know this. Your houseplant salutes the sun each morning. At night, it returns to center. You probably don't think much of it. This is simply what plants do. Get light, photosynthesize, make food, live. But what about all the signs of plant intelligence that have been observed? Under poor soil conditions, the pea seems to be able to assess the risk. The sensitive plant can make memories and learn to stop recoiling if you mess with it enough. The Venus flytrap appears to count when insects trigger its trap, and plants can communicate with one another and with caterpillars. Now, a study published recently in the Annals of Botany has shown that the plants can be frozen in place with a range of anesthetics, including the types that are used when you undergo surgery. Insights gleaned from the study may help doctors better understand the variety of anesthetics used in surgeries, but the research also highlights that plants are complex organisms, perhaps less different from animals than is often assumed. So there you go, all you vegans. Take that. Can you just imagine the harm you're doing when you chop these up?
Stop eating your friends.
Rip them out of the ground. Masticate them between your teeth. Can you just imagine the horror that these poor little plants must feel?
And raw too, so they're alive. Oh,
that is so gross.
It's terrible. It's called.
It's the cries of the carrots.
It's called the circle of life.
It's the peas. You're eating pea bums. You are what you eat. You just want to go around.
Pea bums. Tool fans. The Tool fans out there know what I was talking about.
Well, I think, sadly, I don't think it demonstrates consciousness. That if they're talking about local anesthetic, we're talking about blocking nerve transmission and response transmission.
It fills up their cells basically, and it can't. They're frozen basically. They respond. They start working again. It's just like a blocker, it seems, on a cellular level.
Yeah.
Do they define consciousness? If they don't, then it's pretty pointless, and I don't know anyone to this point who can define consciousness, but there you go. I don't see why animals and plants are any different. Plants have been heard to scream when you cut them and all that sort of thing, and Carillion photography with their missing limbs, and yeah, stop eating your friends, man. Just stop eating. Just stop breathing. Stop drinking. I mean, just think of the water. That has feelings. Where's me bacon sandwich?
Alex knows. He just did a shout out. He knows that was actually some good stuff. Life feeds on life.
So,
Alex?
Zach. That's one of
Oh, Zach. Sorry, I'm all over the place in chat trying to play catch up.
Oh,
now I froze up my computer
Josh,
again.
to me, the level of response data that they're describing doesn't imply consciousness at all. It implies a complete just a response mechanism what they're talking about, and there is the learning bit where you're talking about the P's doing there. Now, if you could sedate that and stop the learning, that might be suggestive of a consciousness. But I think what you're doing there, if you stop the synapse response of like a Venus flytrap, actually that's perfectly feasible to do and stop from a just a standard kind of local anesthetic point of view.
I used to play with my Venus flytrap. You know, I'd give it flies every now and again, and then tickle it with a pin and stuff, and it would get pissed off, and it wouldn't bother closing anymore. You know, you catch it in the morning, you go play with it, and it'd be shut. Like, you play with it 2 or 3 times, and it's just like, yeah, piss off, not falling for that again.
So that implies consciousness, doesn't it, or learning at least?
To me, but we've yet to define consciousness.
Well, consciousness, I suppose, is defined as self-awareness, isn't it?
I think, therefore, I am.
I think.
So how we would ever prove consciousness? I mean, a rock might think, therefore it is, but just because you tickle it, it doesn't laugh, or you stun it, or gas it. A rock might think, therefore it is, but it just might not show you it's thinking.
No, but wouldn't you define it differently as, like, if you keep tickling it like that, it just goes stopping responding to this synapse? That's not consciousness. If it actually goes, I'm pissed off with John annoying me, then that's consciousness.
Yeah, if it told me that, then I'd be like, shit me, you're conscious. And if a rock told me that, I'd be the same.
If it had that as a plant thought, whatever a plant thought is, if it thought,
okay,
John, stop that, you're pissing me off, then it has consciousness. But if it just thinks input over there is repetitive, ignore, then that's just programming.
I personally think anything that's alive would have what we're trying to describe as consciousness. But I refer back to, please define consciousness. I would define consciousness as being alive, is what I'm saying.
That's a pretty broad definition, but I suppose it works. I just wonder how much this is just that the anthropomorphization plants.
What you guys don't seem to understand is L. Ron Hubbard used the E-meter years ago in Scientology to prove that plants are alive by hooking them up to a metal can with some electrodes. So you guys can just stop the debate.
Why don't you tell everybody what a metal can is? Because that's quite disturbing just in itself. Tell them about a session.
Just go Google E-meter, Scientology E-meter, and you will see all about it.
People pay thousands, hundreds of thousands to get your session.
Hundreds of thousands, sir.
Get hooked up to the cans.
Hold you a can and find out what you thinking. It's incredible technology. Oh, I'm sorry, tech. They call it tech. It's not technology, right?
So, what PayPal account do we send our money to find out?
Playing around with Google. You wait till the Scientologists start bombing our channel. That'll be over.
We could get some worse than 30-year Mennonite preachers. We could get 30-year Scientologies, reformists coming at us, taking us out.
Some of you guys have had some dealings with Scientology, haven't you?
Some of us have.
Couple.
Anyone care to talk about it?
Not in the time we have left. That would be a whole show, and it's already what 3 hours in.
Somebody else
3.5
has already
hours. My
killed
God.
the whole show. It's over. It went
Bunch
by
of
so
Moonies,
fast.
a bunch of Moonies. But yeah, we definitely can talk about Scientology and what goes on behind the scenes. I do have a bit of insider information. See, there you go, a little
we should
tease
talk
for you
about
guys
the
to come back next
schools,
week.
too. We should talk about Scientology schools. That's a nice one I forgot about, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pay to have your child molested for $1 a year. Hidden away. Can't even call them. Can't reach them. Sounds like an education to me.
Sounds like
Teased way.
And then on the screen now, we're looking at the Mars rover and its newest selfie shot. Right now, I'm just looking at the little video they have of his path, I guess. As it bounces around, Devon Island. Or Mars. I mean, Mars. Bouncing around Mars. Definitely Mars. Not Devon Island.
Well, look. Colors in the image are balanced. Sorry, folks. This is a touched-up image already. They just told you. Are white balanced? Yes.
So they appear as they would on Earth.
Yeah, why would they want them?
Well, just in case there's any question, just in case you're looking and like, well, those rocks look an awful lot like they're on Earth. That's their disclaimer. Oh, well, we did that on purpose. That's a white balance to make you think.
Oh, but look what I see, Josh. They found water again for the 18th time in 25
Freaking
years.
Devon Island. I mean, it's not Devon Island. Shoot.
Water. Jeez.
They're surrounded by water, but whatever.
Get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars.
So, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but we mentioned before that Elon Musk started selling flamethrowers, and I think he made a lot of like 20,000, and for $500 a pop, and sold out in like 3 days. You can no longer get a flamethrower directly from Elon Musk. You can get them on eBay now. Apparently, they're selling them now for $750, $1,200 for one of their $500 flamethrowers. But it's also all sold out. Thought that was pretty interesting.
What do they do? What do you use these things for? Roasting certain ethnic groups or what? What do you use them for?
It's good for ethnic cleansing or roasting marshmallows. It does everything but change the baby's diaper.
How big's the tank?
Well, it cures warts, corns, makes childbirth a pleasure. I don't know. I didn't check any of the specs on it. I'm not in the market for a flamethrower necessarily. I just thought it was interesting that he's sold out. There's enough crazy effers out there willing to play around with a flamethrower.
Elon Musk sold out? Oh, shocker.
20,000 3 days.
I mean, he personally sold out. Shocker.
He's sold out years ago.
Josh, I saw this thing. I think it was on IPS or something, and I didn't pay much attention. But just out of curiosity, are we talking, when we say flamethrower, are we talking the sort of thing that can make a creme brulee or?
No, we're talking
Middle East.
It's a little bit more streamlined. So when you start thinking flamethrowers and you think back sort of to the Vietnam era, where it's just a little more than a pilot light and a gas hose and a big tank strapped to your back. The actual handle of the gun is actually, it looks more like a firearm. So it's got a pistol grip on it and it's got a stock that you can hold. So it's, definitely looks cooler. But other than that, yeah, it's an actual time to go clear out some jungle flamethrowers. Crazy. I don't know. But this only ties in to the story about President Trump sort of raising the tariff or something on solar panels that are imported here to the U.S. Meaning now the only way we can really be able to get solar panels is if we create them in the U.S., build and manufacture them here, then sell them here. That's about going to be the cheapest way to do it. But I'd seen a story several months ago where Elon Musk himself was testing out these solar panel shingles. And I thought that was really cool. And I see now that he's going to be selling these shingles and his power walls at Home Depot. So anybody looking to go green, you can maybe return your flamethrower and invest in some of these solar panels and power walls at Home Depot.
No, what you do is you keep the flamethrower and you use the solar panels to power up your zombie fort hold that you have ready.
Zombie apocalypse is coming. It's coming.
Are we talking like military grade?
Yes, we are. Yes.
Not exactly.
They look like something Call of
it's
Duty.
not. Yeah, it's not military grade. Though it only shoots a few feet. It's an advanced butane torch, essentially, from what I read about it.
Okay. So Walt, right, in front of me is like 100, 150, maybe 200 alien eggs we're about to hatch. Can I dispatch them with my Tesla blower?
No, you have to upgrade to the Sigourney Weaver adapter package. You have to get that on there to be able to extend it to that extreme.
Yeah.
So what's it for? Home barbecues? What's
exactly? It's to clear brush, I guess, on your land. I'm trying to get the specs up here, but
Well, this was the whole point that because Billy Ray Valentine and I were talking about this on the Fringe, and it just does seem like a very strange non sequitur to just come out of nowhere with a, oh, by the way, here's a flamethrower I'm selling. Everybody, if you want one, feel free to buy one. For me, it just seemed more like a coded message. I don't know, very elemental, and it just seemed like, okay, I'm going to start selling these. I'm going to make a press release, and I'm sending a message to. I have no idea how to interpret this message, but this is just what it seemed like to me. That for some reason, this was him sending a signal. Here's my flamethrowers that I'm now selling for $500. I have 20. I don't know. Again, there's no real big significance to the numbers in my mind, but just the fact that he's doing it at all seemed pretty suspect.
Yep, I'll go with that. Sounds like a message to me. Sounds like they're bullshit.
He's going to run for president in 2020 against Oprah and lose.
Nah, that's going to be for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, The Rock. Sounds like a good commander-in-chief.
All right, what was another one here? Ooh, the life science. This is a pretty good one here. Were dinosaurs having a party millions of years ago right in NASA's backyard? About 110 billion years ago, two tank-like dinosaurs, a baby and an adult, walked across what was a squishy wetland, leaving behind 5-fingered handprints in what is now the backyard of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. A new study finds.
Oh, God. You mean a new tourist attraction appears?
Pretty much. These armored dinosaurs, known as nodosaurs, were in good company. A dinner table-sized sandstone slab that holds their fossilized prints also captured the trackways of other dinosaurs and ancient mammals that lived during the Cretaceous, the last period of the dinosaur age.
Wow. The Nasasaurus.
The
Nasasaurus.
Nodosaur. No.
Dosaurus.
No.
I like that one, John, the Nasasaurus.
The Deceivosaurus. Nasasaurus.
Neversaurus.
Neversaurus. Never seen us. Never been seen us. Alright, on that note, guys, I'm going to do one.
Ghost.
Yep, I'm going to go.
All right, so well, it was a good day. Thank you.
Yeah,
for
great
hanging
show.
out with us.
Lovely.
Great.
Enjoyed that. I'll catch up with you all shortly.
Sounds good, John. You have
All right,
a
brother.
great rest of your night. Sleep well. Enjoy your weekend. Feel better. Rest up.
Rest in.
Rest out.
Shake the other leg and do it all about. Something.
That's what it's all about. I mean, really, when you get down to it.
Pokey.
On that note, I'm out.
John.
I'm out.
All right, we'll see you,
Later,
Johnny.
brother. Love you,
You
man.
See you in a week, mate.